Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I just wanted to get on here real quick. I was talking to my dad this morning and we was talking about trauma. So I thought I would get on here real quick and have a video about trauma. Pretty much everybody in life is going to deal with trauma. Like, we cannot escape trauma. It's just going to happen to us. It's just something that is a part of being alive, part of being on earth. We're gonna have to deal with trauma. Most people, we have trauma in our childhood. I think everyone experienced trauma in their childhood. I haven't met somebody who hasn't had something traumatic happen in their childhood, whether it could be as simple as like being a child and getting injured really badly, and that is something that's very traumatic. Some people get abused. All types of things happen in people's childhood, whether it's physical, sexual, any type of abuse is pretty much traumatic. Everybody does have some type of trauma in their past, and some people have trauma present day. And I deal with both. A lot of people deal with both. I think it's just really just a part of being a human on earth. Trauma is something that we can't escape. Kind of really molds us to who we are today. There's people that will literally try to belittle your trauma, which is crazy to me. And I just wanted to get on here real quick and talk about that, because first of all, we all go through something in our life that's traumatic. There's not a soul walking on earth who hasn't been through something traumatic. So don't put the other person down because their trauma seems less than what you've went through as a person. And I see that a lot of times people have did that to me in the past plenty of times. They'll belittle my trauma, make my trauma seem like this big, and drop my earbud, make my trauma seem like it's that freaking big, and their trauma is worse because they didn't went through this and that, and I didn't go through this and that. Like, I'm here to tell you, trauma is trauma. It does not matter what you went through. Trauma is trauma. If someone fell and broke their neck while they was a kid and this person got abused, they still activated that trauma response in their body. They went through that same response as you did. And for you to try to belittle somebody and try to say that their trauma isn't trauma because they didn't go through the things that you went through is crazy. And I see it all the time and I hear it all the time, and I'm just like, why do people feel that their trauma is worse than other people's trauma when trauma is trauma? And I'm just confused, because one thing's for sure, two things for certain. If you go to the hospital right now for, say you accidentally cut yourself on your finger. Say you accidentally cut yourself on your finger and you're bleeding, right? You go to the hospital. Guess what the nurse going to say? The nurse going to say, ma'am, this is this minor cut, but you see here, there's trauma. You have trauma on your finger. So we're going to bandage this up. They're going to use the word trauma. But you can be in a freaking 4-car pileup collision, car done flipped over, and you could lose your limb. You can crush a bone. Guess what the nurse gonna say? The nurse is gonna say, you have trauma on your limb, so your limb is blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they're gonna use that same freaking word, because trauma is trauma. That traumatic response does not devalue how someone feel about a situation. And that's really what pisses me off, for real, because I see people try to devalue people about what they went through and thinking that their situation isn't that bad. Trauma is trauma. Like, you cannot tell me otherwise. Like, if someone gets cheated on, if a female gets cheated on, the same traumatic response she has is literally just as traumatic as her losing a close loved one. It's trauma. And I just wanted to come on here real quick and talk about this, because I don't understand why nobody gets this, why nobody understands that trauma is trauma. And I can't be the only person that thinks that trauma is trauma. To me, once we go through something in life, to me, I just feel like, we are survivors. I just look at it as we're all humans, and if we're still here throughout our traumatic experiences and traumatic lessons, then we are literally survivors. That's what we are. We are survivors. And instead of belittling the next person and try to make them feel out of place and triggering something, because that is literally a trigger. Like, you're triggering somebody by telling them, oh, well, that's not bad. It's because that's not that bad. It's because I went through this and you didn't have to go through this, and because I went through this and this was work. Like, no, it doesn't work like that. What you go through is what you go through. Our paths are all different. We're different people at the end of the day. We're not the same person. So we cannot never have the same story. So your trauma is going to be different than mine. My trauma is going to be different than yours. You're never going to meet nobody with the same exact trauma. Trauma happens to us in many different ways. It's not even just about being abused. That is not. There's people that get shot. There's people that go to jail. There's people that lose both of their parents. There's people that lose their legs. There's people that lose their eyes. There's so many different ways to be traumatized. It's literally not just abuse. That's all I wanted to say. Pretty much, because I was talking to my dad today and he was telling me something from his childhood, and it was his childhood trauma. And we were kind of talking about this. So that's why I just wanted to talk to you guys about this, because he was just telling me certain things and I was just thinking, like, that's crazy. How many people try to belittle people because the simple fact that they feel like their trauma isn't as bad as the next person's trauma, so that person shouldn't even feel any trauma. Like, yeah, I just want to come on here real quick. I'm probably not going, this video won't be too choppy, because I'm just probably going to post this and just put it up, because this is literally off the dome. This video is literally off the dome. And it was on my mind because, like I said, I was talking to my dad and we were talking about how people try to belittle you or whatever because their trauma is different when we all live different lives. There's no way possible our traumas will ever be the same. That's like asking somebody to have the same life as you. I just don't get it, man. I just don't get it. I don't understand. Trauma is trauma. Just know that. Another thing about trauma is trauma never goes away. You can try to tell yourself that you are healed or you're done with that. You will always get triggered, whether it's a smell, whether it's a sound, whether it's just someone saying certain things to you. You will always get triggered, but you can always tell yourself, this is what I do. This is my secret to how I try to get over trauma. See, my childhood trauma doesn't really bother me because I am literally healed from that. So I'm able to talk my way out of that. But it's the modern day trauma that bothers me the most. And I'm still dealing with that right now. And it is hard for me to continue to not feel triggered by it because it's so fresh. So it's fresh trauma. So childhood trauma, I kind of got over that. But the modern day, I'm still dealing with it. And yeah, so I just kind of try to talk myself out of it. Like childhood trauma, I just tell myself, you know what, Sarah, there's nothing you can do about it. This already happened. It's in the past. This didn't happen 20 years ago. You can't go back in time. You can't change anything. So you kind of just have to give it up. So that's how I kind of cope with my childhood trauma. My modern day trauma, my mind's on a million. My mind is racing constantly, all day, every day. It'd be hard to cope with trauma, especially modern day trauma. Yeah. But that's pretty much all I wanted to say in this video. I know it's probably not going to be that long. I just wanted to come on here real quick and just chit chat with y'all about trauma. And I want y'all to know that don't let nobody try to put you down about what you went through and try to make your trauma feel this small when it's something big to you. You do matter and you will get through it. And thanks for watching. Bye.
I keep on giving them game and shit, and they still ain't hearing me out.